For the record, some are speculating that's why they didn't go out and get another big, is that we've been on this for a couple years on this show. We love Kuminga. You just can't figure out how to use him in the playoffs, but they need his size and his length, and more than one person inside the building feels like he's their pop player.
Strong, explosive, and dynamic are some pretty fair words to describe Jonathan Kuminga and what he displayed over the course of the 2023 82-game regular season. I mean, that insane dunk against the Celtics, that emphatic dunk against the Lakers, or any of the other countless highlight reels he produced on a nightly basis only reinforced what we all already knew. That this dude is a monster. There was no denying it. When it came to the eye test, you can tell Kuminga had it. Then, that was reaffirmed by NBA stars around the league like Jason Tatum, who tweeted out that Kuminga was gonna be very good for a long time. The writings were on the wall. The Warriors found another star, and Kuminga must have been stoked. His hard work finally was paying off, and if people weren't sure about him, then a simple look at the numbers would put all doubts to rest. You see, one of the qualities that Steph Curry and the Warriors pride themselves on is efficiency, and Kuminga exemplified that as much as any second-year player could. He may not have averaged 30 points a night like Steph, but for a player who comes off the bench, those numbers are absolutely beautiful. As far as I can tell, a star was born. But yet, when the playoffs arrived, the narrative surrounding him changed completely. Instead of being on the floor, fighting for rebounds, and using his youth and athleticism to help the Warriors win games, he found himself spending the majority of the postseason on the bench. Game 1 against the Kings, 9 minutes. Game 2 against the Kings, 3 minutes. Game 4 against the Kings, 2 minutes. You get the point. He was more or less collecting dust on the sidelines, and for someone like Kuminga, this was infuriating. After working so hard during the offseason and showing improvements during the regular season, he was relegated to the bench, and as a hooper, this hurt, and it obviously took a toll on his pride. I mean, it was the basketball way of saying, your services are not needed. So when the dust settled, and when he had time to gather his thoughts, Kuminga voiced towards the front office that he was frustrated, and that unless he got a bigger role with the team going forward, he wanted out. And I don't blame him. A player of his caliber isn't made to just sit and watch. Well, I'm glad the Warriors didn't trade him because, man, this offseason, Kuminga has been in the lab. And when I say in the lab, I mean in the lab. I know it's just practice, and given what Ben Simmons does every summer, we can't put too much stock into it. But man, from the eye test of watching these videos, his three ball, his mid-range, his ability to attack the basket, everything looks more refined, and given the context of everything, this new look Kuminga is really what the NBA feared. I mean, look, with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and now Chris Paul, this team is already filled with weapons. They were the second highest scoring team in 2023, right behind the Sacramento Kings for a reason. But if Kuminga is going to turn things up a notch and take his game to that next level, then this changes the whole equation. Some of y'all might be saying that this is all talk, but the truth is, the evidence is right in front of us that Kuminga really is about to take that next leap, and I'll prove it. First off, look at his numbers here again. Last year, he had an effective field goal percentage of 58% coming off the bench while putting up 10 points per game. Just for an FYI, when a player's EFG gets to about 60%, that's when they're elite. Like when Giannis was winning MVPs, he was only very slightly better than Kuminga in this department. Second off, he's not slacking off, he's putting in the work. Whether it was individual training or whether it was playing in open runs with players like Cade Cunningham and Trey Murphy, the dude has been living in the lab. I know he's not literally sleeping in a gym like Aaron Gordon from the Nuggets, but for all intents and purposes, Kuminga's been living in one. And on a quick side note, look at what spending serious time in the gym has done for Gordon's game. These are his career numbers. Ever since he was drafted back in 2014, he was never known for his efficiency on the court, but as you can see, ever since he literally decided to close the proximity between his bed and the basketball court, good things started to happen. Looking at the numbers, he's improved year after year in the EFG department and had 3 consecutive breakout years. Sheesh, guys. Living in the gym is literally the recipe for success, and Jordan Poole was a great example of that as well during his first 3 years in the league. Anyway, the last reason why Kuminga is going to change everything for the Warriors is because he'll be playing with the point guard. You know, when it comes to maximizing the abilities of teammates, I don't believe anyone does that better than Chris Paul, and his resume proves it. DeAndre Jordan with the Clippers, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with the Thunder, DeAndre Ayton with the Suns. These are just a few of the countless players whose stock rose considerably after playing alongside Chris Paul, and something strongly suggests to me that Kuminga will be next on that list. I mean, he can finish above the rim in pick and roll plays. He can pop open to the 3 for open perimeter shots. He can hit that mid-range. He can play in the post when there's a mismatch. And here's where things get even more scary. So, y'all might have already heard from time to time there have been Giannis comparisons to Kuminga. In fact, you can sort of say that Zion Williamson is to Shaq like what Jonathan Kuminga is to Giannis. The ability to run like a freight train in transition, the ability to leap into the air like a gazelle, the ability to just physically dominate 90% of the competition. It's all there. And here's the kicker. Giannis didn't really have his breakout year until his 3rd season. I know he wasn't an all-star until his 4th year, but his 3rd year was when the NBA had to really take a step back and say, is this kid for real? Well, everything for Kuminga is pointing in that direction too. The 2nd year leap, the off-season training, the pairing with the point guard. Then what makes this even more of a problem for the NBA is that this is the 2nd lineup. I mean, CP3 and Kuminga, given how talented they each are, would probably give other starting lineups in the league trouble. But given the fact that they'll be on the 2nd lineup means they'll be able to exploit weaker lineups. How unfair is that, right? Like, imagine your opposing team's coach, and after having to deal with the Splash Brothers and all their off-ball movement and shooting, you then gotta deal with this new tantalizing duo of basketball IQ and freak athleticism.
Kuminga! Oh my goodness!
Oh my goodness! Sounds about right. And you know something? We're going to be hearing a lot of that in 2024, and Kuminga knows it too. In a recent Basketball Without Borders camp in South Africa, Kuminga said, "This upcoming season is definitely the year. A lot of people are expecting so much from me, and myself, I'm expecting a lot. It's a lot of pressure, but I don't really pay attention to the noise. The pressure is always going to be there. It's just on me to go out there and perform." You know, after the departure of James Wiseman and now Jordan Poole, people have completely dismissed the Warriors' whole 2 timeline thing. But if this new look Kuminga really turns out to be what we all believe he could be, then the Warriors are going to be scary for a long time.